Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin. Thanks for joining me today. First, a couple of housekeeping notes before we get to the frozen tundra of the ANA show in Colorado Springs, Colorado. First and foremost, for those of you who watch the channel or this is even your first time, there's a thing that happens at YouTube where if you want to watch content, they tell you to hit the subscribe button and then the notification bell. And the reason they tell you that is because if you don't hit the notification bell, even though you're subscribed, they won't show you the content you subscribe to. I know it doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. But two things. We put up videos basically almost every day of the week. So we're putting up on average 5 or 6 videos a week. And if you're only seeing 1 or 2 videos, that's because YouTube is only putting them in front of you once or twice a week. So if you would, you can hit the subscribe and the notification, or you can do neither and just go ahead and tune in every day at noon Tucson time. And we do not celebrate daylight savings. We celebrate not having daylight savings. So our time doesn't change. But for y'all, depending on where you're at, during half the year, it'll launch at one time and half the year another time. And you want to try to be the first one there so you can beat Donald and Kevin and David and Michael and everyone else who tries to get the trophy for being the first one to leave a comment. All right, guys. So the YouTube also, one more thing, I will be at in Albuquerque in April and Central States in May. During the summer, I'm still tapping down some of my final shows. Let's talk about the American Numismatic Association show, the ANA. For those of you who don't know, the ANA is the big association in America, hence the title, that is the biggest club, you can say, in all of America when it comes to coins and coin collecting. Their website is money.org, and this is not a paid advertisement. I just cover the entire marketplace, and I'm talking about them today because they put on the show in Colorado Springs. I heard it was their 30th time they've done the show at Colorado Springs, and I also heard it's their last time, and I'm absolutely heartbroken because it was my first time there, and it's the most charming place at this hotel called the Broadmore. First of all, basically, if you've seen The Great Gatsby, that's like what this place is. It's a 5,000-acre resort built in the 1920s, and it didn't hurt that we had 2 feet of snow while we were there to make it feel extra special, but it did hurt probably the show itself. In other words, with the snow, which I guess is very unusual for this time of year, and especially unusual to get that much snow, there were flights canceled, there were roads closed, and you had a smaller than normal attendance at this show. So I think that's going to hurt in general the overall look feel of the show. So I went in on the Thursday, the first day of the show, and walked the show. I did not set up on Friday or Saturday, not really. I was out of town by Saturday, hitting the road. And so this is one of the first shows that I've actually just walked a show and didn't really set up. And I was reminded of the learning curve. And anytime you go to a show, there's a big learning curve. First of all, the American Numismatic Association puts on nice shows. They're very large shows. I would recommend probably not a good idea to be your first show, an ANA show, because they are massive. Even though I've done plenty of larger shows, for me, walking the show is a different experience because there's just a different mindset about, I brought a little bit of inventory. My goal was to move out a bunch of inventory and buy new inventory, just out with the old, in with the new, like a Happy New Year kind of thing. And we did pretty okay. We'll have some new purchases for you coming up this week. Lots of fun stuff that I bought. And overall, it went pretty well for me. So the vibe in the room was interesting because, of course, it was kind of quiet without the attendees, without the public showing up. And the good news is when you have a show that size, as long as dealers kind of have their wits about them and they know other people, or at least they know how to do a little bit of business, they're able to probably go ahead and do enough business to kind of pay for the trip and make it worth it. One of the things I'm reminded of every time I go to a show like this is just the camaraderie and the friendship, the fellowship, whatever you want to call it, the fellowship of the coin. That's there. And that's what's so great about these events. And for those of you who don't really get to travel, I would recommend that you if you can hit local shows if you have them, I would recommend maybe a once a lifetime kind of trip for yourself to one of the larger shows just to soak it all in, just to go and see what's there. So a lot of you guys are asking about how the market is, and this is what's interesting to me. Of course, we got all-time highs on gold, and you've got pretty good prices on silver, and you have all kinds of mixed reports from the media about what the actual economy is like. And what's interesting to me is that the coin market is, I think, holding up fairly well, all things considered. Of course, unfortunately, it's another election year, which means we got to put up with a lot of stuff, right? So that can affect the market because people act in herds, like people move together in herds, generally speaking, and that's what really affects markets. When everyone decides to stop buying something all at once, that's when something crashes. When everybody goes ahead and like rushes into something all at once, that's when things take off in price. And so we'll see how the market holds up. I think that generally speaking, as I talk to dealers, they're still having a hard time getting good inventory, and they're still having a hard time holding on to good inventory. So it feels to me like the market for nicer US coins in the couple $100 range up to the couple $1,000 range is still kind of like a little bit of a sweet spot. The high end of the market definitely has not collapsed yet. I mean, you're still seeing guys at auction buying the guys that buy the $10,000 and $20,000, $30,000 coins. Those are still trading fairly strong. And so overall, I'd say that the market is actually pretty active. Now, what you will see is a pullback on gold and silver coins a little bit, gold and silver. On gold coins, you've seen this where as gold prices go up, a lot of the gold floods the market, and so you see prices pull back a little bit. And you've seen that the premiums drop on proof gold eagles and on $10s and $20 gold pieces. So there's kind of this weird inverse correlation, but that's just because a lot of guys that have been holding on to stuff for a while decide to sell. So, what's fun about an ANA show, and this show has everything, right? So you've got your guys who specialize in error coins. You've got your guys who specialize in paper money. There's a guy set up who specialized in colonial currency. He had beautiful stuff, and you've got your guys that kind of generalize like I might do. And so if you're going and you want to look for something very specific, then those shows are usually pretty good shows to go to because you'll find that guy that's got what you want. Let's see, overall, the show is, I think, still, in my book, a success. Now, I will say this. I don't know exactly. I was just thinking about this with the ANA. What I heard, and now I got to go talk to somebody, is that the ANA is not going to be hosting at the Broadmore again, at least not next year. And, I don't know exactly what the ANA's goals are with the shows they put on, right? And there's a little bit of the tradition where you've done this every year for so many years, so you just keep doing it. And we all run into that, right? We all run into times when we're just doing what we're doing because we're doing it. But I'm curious about kind of the mission mindset of the shows and how they choose where the shows go. So they do 2 shows annually, and a lot of times it's in Chicago and Colorado Springs, but they move around. Like 2 years ago, the spring show, there was a spring show in Phoenix. And so they do move the shows around. You'll see them in bigger cities near you from time to time. So if one's coming near you, it's worth going to. But, I mean this sincerely when I say I don't know exactly if they have certain goals for the shows or if they're just a facilitator. So as an example, I run the Tucson Coin Show, TucsonCoinshow.com, and I feel like I'm facilitating, I'm giving people an opportunity to come together between, guys that are looking for good coins and guys that have good coins and paper money ancients, and so I feel like there's an obligation there about what I'm doing in a sense of, kind of a sense of duty. And so I'm curious about the ANA, how they pick venues, why they pick venues, what they hope the results are from people showing up. And I'm, one of these days I'll sit down with some of the ANA governors and talk to them about just their overall vision for the hobby, because I've kind of set up my own personal goals. And by the way, if you guys are goal oriented, you're going to hate this. So everything I've learned about goals is that they have to be definable and measurable, and so my goals are not. And so in your face, Mr. Go Get Him guy, right? My basic goals are to more like the good little Boy Scout or Buckaroo, leave the camp better than you found it, and that's basically, I have a goal of making the numismatic community better and growing the ecosystem, whatever that means. And but that takes me all over the place, and then it'll have me all over the place. But most of you guys who watch my content know I am all over the place. So, having said all that, the ANA in Colorado Springs, I am so sad it's not going to be there again. Hopefully it will be back later sometime. The Broadmore is just a lovely, lovely venue. And one of my main concerns about when I go to coin shows is, that feeling of not being safe or secure, or, there's just certain places that I don't envision being as safe or secure. And, but that venue is just lovely. And it's kind of, a idyllic, romantic Norman Rockwell kind of place. So we'll see what other places the ANA picks for their big shows. Remember, if you're watching these videos, that you can always check on the community tab. You click on the little owl icon, and there'll be a bunch of a bunch of little tabs you can click on. You can click on the community tab, and I'll update shows that I'm going to. We'll try to put it out on our other social media as well. But also, sometimes we end up watching these videos out of order, and so maybe if you just clicked on a video and watched it, it may be from 2 years ago. They also have like release dates on the videos, but there's lots of stuff on YouTube, and then you got to look, and it's effort, and who wants to do all that? The easy thing to do is just go ahead and just follow us daily. So thanks so much for being here, guys. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. I look forward to showing you the new purchases from the ANA show in Colorado Springs. I brought back some snow, but it didn't make it past New Mexico. All right, cheers.